Okay, we've got a 2013 200 series Land Cruiser here. It's got a 3-inch exhaust on it from the turbos back. The rest of the car is stock standard. Now, what we're going to do for the customer is we're going to do an engine tune on this one. So we're going to increase the power and the torque down low because this guy does a bit of towing. And we're also going to do a transmission recalibration or tuning. So we're going to go into the automatic transmission and we're going to fix some of the issues that the 200 series Land Cruiser has. The most common issue that they have, that everyone knows about, is they constantly won't go into 6th gear unless you're doing over 110-ish kilometers an hour, and then eventually it'll drop into 6th gear. But as soon as you see a hill, a slight hill, it wants to jump straight back out of 6th gear, back into 5th gear, sometimes from 5th to 4th. So the changing of the gears is a real problem with these cars, and it also upsets the fuel economy. So we're going to fix all of that in the transmission. So we're not just going to fix the 6th gear issue, we're also going to go in and change all of the shift points. We're also going to change the shift pressures so that it has a firmer shift to be able to take the extra torque that we're going to produce through the engine remount, right? We're also going to recalibrate the speed because we all know that the speedo in these cars don't read properly, right? So we're going to go into the transmission and we're going to fix that issue as well. And we're going to take you on the journey of what we do, how we do it, and let's get into it. So we've just run it up on the dyno stock standard with the 3-inch exhaust already on it, obviously. And this is the standard tune that we're looking at now with the 3-inch exhaust. There is a bit of an improvement when you put a 3-inch exhaust on these cars, on the 200s. They do actually like that extra bit of flow over the factory exhaust. And you can see here, we're starting in 4th gear at around about 70 kilometers an hour. So this is around 1800 RPM. The horsepower is starting at around about that 115 horsepower and going up to 191 horsepower. And you can see the torque here is starting off at around about, we follow the screen across to this side here where your torque is, 450 Newton meters. I'll just bring it up here for you. So the maximum was 487 Newton meters. And that was at 18 PSI, which is standard boost pressure for these cars. So what I'm going to do now is build the file to suit this customer, where I go in and build individual tables to suit his needs. Then we're going to run it up on the dyno again, so that you can see the difference between the stock tune and after I've finished building the file for the customer. Okay, this is one of the softwares that we use to be able to edit all the different tables in the factory ECU to be able to get the results that we achieving at the moment. This is just one of the softwares that I use. I use about 3 different softwares to be able to get access to all of the different tables that I want with V8 Land Cruiser. If you have a look at the software here, all your different boost tables, it's for being able to control boost. Your VNT tables, these are the tables that control the turbos. So we're able to change how the turbos come in, and also change EMPs or exhaust manifold back pressures. So these tables here, you have to have very, very good knowledge as to what you're doing with these tables, or you can actually cause a fair bit of damage to the turbos and also to the actual motor itself. You've got your EGR tables, injection tables, so this is for your fuel, all the different injection tables. Once again, very important to know what you're doing with all that sort of stuff. You got your rail pressure tables here as well. Now with the rail pressure tables, I see a lot of people adding lots of rail pressure to try and get results. You don't need to. You really don't need to. Especially at mid throttles and stuff like that, you don't need to add massive amounts of rail pressure. We don't. And we're still getting the results. Also, you see here your start of injection tables, your pilot tables, injector opening time. This is your pulse width. The software is quite good. able to look at it in 3D, also in 2D as well. You've got all your DTCs up the top here. This is one of the softwares that we use to be able to tune your car and get the results that we get. Okay, so the tuning is now finished. I'm very happy with the results. You can see here, went from 191 horsepower factory to 292 horsepower after tuning. The torque was factory, a maximum of 487 Newton meters to 888 Newton meters of torque at the wheels. So this has also got the factory tune here has also got the transmission file in it, so that I can run it in 4th gear with the lockup in. So this is with the lockup in, the torque is read with the lockup in, and also here the torque is also being read with the lockup in. Okay. Just so you get a bit of an understanding on how many times we run them on the dyno, we don't just run them once or twice on the dyno and then send them out the door. When they're being tuned, like custom tuned properly, so where you have to actually build the files, you can run them quite a few times. So you can see here that we've actually run this car 18 times on the dyno, all right, which is around about average from what we start from our starting files to what we end up with a tune file to suit that particular customer. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take it out on the road, and we're not going to so much demonstrate the power and the torque. We understand the power and the torque is there. We're going to show you the difference with the transmission tuning. With the transmission tuned, we're not just worried about it dropping into 6th gear, which is everyone's main complaint. We've gone through and done a total tune on the actual automatic transmission. So your shift points, your shift pressures, the converter lockup, when the converter locks up, when it doesn't lock up, when it unlocks. So all of that has been done. It's taken quite a few weeks for me to build it all. It's all personally been built by myself from scratch. And with the 20 odd years of experience that I've been doing these, I can really see that the customer is going to be extremely happy with the results over stock. Okay, so we're just taking off now. This is with the tune file in the automatic transmission. Coming up to 70 kilometers an hour, coming up to 80 kilometers an hour, 90 kilometers an hour, 100 kilometers an hour, or just under, and straight into 6th gear. So if I slow down, I'm going to slow down now to just under 80 kilometers an hour to make it come back out of 6th gear. Lockup is still in. At 80 kilometers an hour, it's still holding 6th gear. Now it's into 6th gear, sorry. At just under 90 kilometers an hour. So if I roll my foot onto the throttle, speed up to 100 kilometers an hour, it still holds 6th gear. It doesn't jump back to 5th gear when I start putting my foot down to speed up. Now we're going to go down a bit of a hill here, and then as we come up the other side, we're going to see if it'll still hold 6th gear. So just heading down the hill now. Sitting on about 100 kilometers an hour, 1500 RPM. Coming up the other side, rolling my foot into the throttle to maintain speed. Hold 6th gear the whole time. If I was to do that with the factory file in it, it would have definitely gone back to 5th gear or even possibly 4th gear. Just a light throttle, light medium throttle. And straight into 6th gear. So sitting on 100 kilometers an hour, and we're in 6th gear. So if we slow down, which I will, I'm going to slow down to about 80 kilometers an hour. Let it jump out. I'm going to accelerate steady, 90 kilometers an hour, and into 6th gear at 90 kilometers an hour. Climbing a bit of a hill here. Quite happy to stay in 6th gear now. Coming to a bigger hill. We'll see if it'll hold 6th gear up this hill. Still in 6th gear. Still at 100 kilometers an hour. Yep, no problem at all. So if that had been the factory file, it would have definitely gone back to 5th gear before it even got anywhere near going up the actual hill itself. So definitely holding 6th gear much nicer. The shifts and the shift points are really nice. If you get your foot into it and drive it a little bit more aggressively, it shifts up at about 3,800. Much better and nicer car to drive with the transmission tuned the way it is. Okay, so we've just come back from the road testing on the road with the 200 series Land Cruiser. Once we had written all the files to the car, so we'd finished tuning the actual engine and we'd also finished tuning the transmission. All right, so once we finish doing that tuning, we'd like to take them out on the road and actually test them to make sure that the transmission is doing what it's supposed to be doing. So you'll see in some of the shots that we took out there on the road, the automatic transmission is holding 6th gear beautifully. Up and over hills, down hills, no problems at all. Whereas factory, they will chop and change in and out of 5th gear all the time and even back to 4th gear. Plus they have a tendency of constantly coming in and out of lockup, all right? So with the tuning of the automatic transmission, the way that I've tuned it so that the lockup stays in. So it doesn't constantly come in and out of lockup when you're coming on and off the throttle. Even if you take your foot completely off the throttle, I've programmed it in such a way that it will still hold lockup. All right, I've also gone into the automatic transmission and sorted out the speed issue with them. So the speedo doesn't read correctly, as you would know. Now the speedo is reading correctly. So it doesn't matter what you need done here at Diesel Smart, the team here can do what you need done. Whether it's automatic transmission tuning, ECU remapping, through to clutches and other performance accessories like exhaust systems. It doesn't matter what you want, give the team here at Diesel Smart a call. We would love to talk to you and help you with whatever the needs are for your car.